TheGreatAmerica.tv, and we are at Moon River Brewing Company in Savannah, Georgia. Your territory.
My humble abode.
Your humble abode, right. And so it's good to be back here, and today we've got a beer that you and I became acquainted with at the Great American Beer Festival in 2011. And at the time that we were trying it back then, they weren't canning it, they weren't doing anything. And so with it yet, they hadn't quite bought the line. And I'm talking about Deviant Dales Pale Ale from Oskar Blues. And this beer, when I had tried it there, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember trying this beer? I mean, there were a lot of beers that we tried. I don't know if you remember trying Deviant Dales or not.
I'm going to be honest.
Don't remember?
I don't remember.
All right. Well,
there were a lot of beers.
I was drinking a lot of it when I was hanging out with those guys. And because we shot our second season pitch trailer at Oskar Blues. We spent about a week with them, and I was drinking a lot of this, and I knew then, and I think a lot of people knew, it wasn't just me, a lot of people said this is an exceptional beer. And do you know much about it?
I don't.
Okay, all right, yeah, it's, Oskar Blues cans all their beers, and sure, anybody who knows Oskar Blues knows about Dale's Pale Ale, right? Dale's Pale Ale. Dale Katechis, who is the owner of Oskar Blues. And there's a great story about the evolution of Deviant Dales. And according to them, there were several stories they were saying about it, but they were that it was sort of more or less a mistake beer. It happens, right? Once in a while, it does happen if they test it. And instead of me telling the story, why don't we have, I did an interview with Dave Chichura, the head brewer there, and we'll just have him tell the story.
All right.
All right.
I asked yesterday about the Deviant Dales, and I heard that, I didn't get the full story, but I heard it was something happened along the process. But you guys ended up brewing you salvaged it and brew a great beer on it, right?
Back in Lyons, there was a batch of Dales being brewed, and something happened with either a mislabeled bag of specialty malt, and perhaps a particularly good extraction on that one. We had a higher gravity, darker in color batch of Dales, essentially. And so it got hopped just like a regular Dales, but then we ended up dry hopping it as well, adding hops into the beer after fermentation, and turned into a pretty interesting thing. We couldn't call it Dales. I mean, it was way out of spec for Dales. And so yeah, I think that was part number one in the Serendipity series. That it turned into a pretty good beer, and then it kind of morphed from there and turned into a larger beer, and yeah, it is very popular. And we actually did a scaled up version of that here last year that we brewed in Longmont, that we had available at first solely to a bunch of old Chicago pizza places in Colorado. Every single old Chicago in Colorado had a few kegs of it, and it was really popular. It did really well. People liked it a lot. We might brew it again sometime, who knows? It might end up in a can. Who knows about that?
All right. So, what do you think of that story? Does it happen? I mean, where you like somebody adds something, or it's just because if it's a little off, you can't sell it. If your Slovana is a little off, you're not going to sell it as Slovana, right? Or
yeah, absolutely not.
Right.
In fact, we made a beer. It ended up being a beer that we attributed to my daughter when she was born, and that was Charlotte's Mild, and it was actually the recipe for one of our other sort of flagship beers called Fest Beer, but we actually accidentally pitched a different yeast, and the end result was quite a nice beer, but it was not Fest Beer, so we called it Charlotte's Mild.
So their solution to the off beer was to, I think as Dave said, hop the shit out of it. And I don't know if it's a true story or not, but I told them they should stick with it because it's a great story. It really is. And I'll tell you why in a minute, why that's such a good story. But how piney is this?
Piney, I was going to say tangerine.
Really? Tangerine? I got pine. Yeah. It's like very piney to me.
Well, I mean, some of those compounds in pine trees, those oily aromatic compounds, are very similar to citrus characters. In fact, one of the main ingredients in orange soda is something called ester of wood rosin. Okay, well, all right then. And incidentally, we have a lot of trucks that go back and forth on Bay Street here in downtown Savannah, carrying basically wood chips, pine trees that have been chopped up in little bits and pieces for the paper mill. But when they go by, you can actually almost taste or smell.
We're at Moon River Brewing, so it's like a fishbowl, so people walk by and wave. So sorry, that's
Yeah, so when these trucks go by, if you don't know what you're smelling, you almost get like a little hint of orange peel or whatever.
Yeah. It's funny you do this to me a lot, where I'll smell one thing and you'll say it, and I'll go, yeah, I do kind of taste it now. A little tangerine sort of taste.
You were the power of suggestion. Though.
I know, but I do, honestly. I know, you said it tasted like, coconut. I'd argue with you. But I'm a huge fan of this beer. I mean, it just is
that's a
wonderful beer. And they just bought a brand new canning line. Of course, they do everything in 12-ounce cans. Well, they bought a canning line that will do 16-ounce cans and 12-ounce cans now. So,
cool.
That's what this is the first run with the 16-ounce can.
Big old beer in a big old can.
Yeah, 4-packs. They sell them in.
And what is it? 8% alcohol.
It is 8% alcohol. You got it. And
good stuff.
Yeah, it is really good stuff. And I want to thank Chad Mellis for sending it to me. He sent it to me, and they're good friends of ours. And I think what's really great is, and I encourage you all to watch. John and I lived it last year, or in 2011, where at the GABF, the trailer that was shot, which is on this website, the 2012 network pitch trailer, focuses on Great American Beer Festival and how giddy everybody gets. They don't care. Nobody cares about medals, of course. You're not doing it for the medals. I don't do it for the medals. Well, all these excuses at Oskar Blues all week long. And the India Pale Ale category came up, which was 185, I think, entries, which was the most. It was the biggest category.
Yep.
And, the American India Pale Ale.
And the biggest year the most they'd ever had in a year as well.
And they won a silver. And they never win. I mean, they haven't won in years and years and years. And you and I, they were like 12-year-old schoolgirls.
It was a great feeling to be sitting with them.
Yeah.
I didn't even have any beers in the competition that year, but I got such a buzz.
I remember
just being around them.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's so exciting.
And that's pretty remarkable, for a beer like this that was, supposedly a mistake beer, which it could very well be. I don't want them to change that story, because it's a great story, and how the evolution of this beer is. The fact that they won a silver with it really is a testament to how great all the brewers are at Oskar Blues. They really care about the product, and they were proud, and they should be proud.
Yeah, that's green goodness right there.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And they're another one too that Oskar Blues is growing at such a big pace. And you and I have talked about this before, where they're opening another brewery in North Carolina.
Right next to mine.
Right next to John's.
My new brewery.
John's expanding as well.
Killing it.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, it's Deviant Dales Pale Ale. Thank you much, Oskar Blues and Chad and Dave and Dale and Chris and all those great people there. And they are great people, and they have so much fun every day, and I think you do too. Brewing beer, and it comes out in the beer. I mean, because they care. They care about the beer. So,
a lot of love in that can.
A lot of love. Yeah. Fucking A, as they say. F-U-C-A-N-E-H. Get it? Can. It's all about the can.
Get it.
All right, good, because you look like you're right now. Anyway, follow BeerAmerica.tv.
Think at BeerAmerica.tv.
Facebook us, like us on Facebook, check us out on iTunes, or check us out on our little home website at BeerAmerica.tv. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Good one. It's a good one. Oh, yeah.
That's a dangerous beer right there.
It is a dangerous beer.